Hello, my name is Ilona. I just watched a video from Phil Godlewski and he was explaining this entire political narrative. This most likely is going to happen. And it's very interesting, so I do suggest if you are capable of watching it, to watch it. He's very thorough. He shows that Mr. B is obviously not Mr. B. He talks about that Mrs. H, will most likely step down in the role that she has now, and they'll try to appoint her for some kind of judge position. I believe someone is stepping down now. So there's this entire thing, and he explains it thoroughly, what's going to happen, where it's going to go, and most likely Mr. B will be the arrest that is going to happen, that was talked about in the 17th letter of the alphabet. So we'll just have to wait and see how that's going to go. I hope so. So much happening again. We have the truckers in Canada, which is beautiful to see, and they spark inspiration all over the world. I believe in Europe they're talking about Truckers United. In the Netherlands there is now, I think, talks about uniting, and I believe the farmers are now also supporting the truckers in Canada, and you can really tell that most likely will happen in the Netherlands as well, that farmers will join in, because really they've been attacked just as much with all these rules and strange things going on. Everyone is kind of fed up with it. I believe in Australia, truckers are uniting again. So it's really inspiring to just see things happening, and it's beautiful to see, and it really just warms my heart, and my heart goes out to everyone involved in this around the world. Beautiful to see. You are all very inspiring, and respect for everyone that is standing up for our freedom. And I made a video yesterday in Dutch, a very vulnerable video. I explained about my own situation and things going on. I was talking about people that were for a long time against testing, getting the wasp sting, getting everything, and then at the last moment they switched. They did get testing just to get the recovery, proof of recovery, so they can still enter if they want to restaurants. And some of them are like, well, I'm not going to use it, but I do have it. And it's very strange to me. It felt very unsafe. I already explained that. It has to do, of course, with my upbringing, which was unsafe. And I, of course, have to find safety in myself. So I was very vulnerable in that. And I stand by what I said in the video, and got beautiful reactions from a lot of people. So I want to thank everyone who gave all these wonderful reactions. And there was one that was interesting, because she mentioned, well, we have to go through the fourth dimension before we, of course, can go higher to the fifth dimension and above. And the fourth dimension is, if I'm not mistaken, about realizing what you feel. It's like self-reflection. So you're starting to realize what you do, taking accountability. That was kind of the point of my video yesterday. How do you take responsibility for yourself? Because that's so important. You have to understand what you're doing. You have to understand what your values are and your principles, and how far you'll go for your principles. Like I've mentioned with these people that apparently were very against everything and suddenly switched. Where do you stand? What is important to you? And, in the 4D, this person also mentioned in the reaction, it's about being sort of tested. It's not really testing. I think it's just showing where you are at with standing for yourself and standing up for your values and for what you believe in. A lot of people don't, they are principled until it gets uncomfortable, and then they buckle. And I already mentioned, I do not test, I do not take the wasp sting. Really, they'll have to put something in my brain. I'll pick that one above the wasp sting. And that's really a principle matter. I also had to look into myself. There are still some things, because why does it trigger me so much if I see people that switch or suddenly turn on their own values, or at least that's what they were talking about as it were their values. You kind of have to look at that, kind of wonder about that. But it had to do with some things I had to still take responsibility for in myself. So there was still some feeling of unsafety in myself. If I'm safe in myself, if I completely trust myself and know where I stand for, first of all, I most likely are not going to meet people that are like that. And second of all, it wouldn't matter to me at all. It wouldn't trigger anything to me. So it was also a process for myself to look into. But I found that a very interesting thing. And I want to take a look at that about the 4D. I think a lot of people are now in situations where they have to see where they're standing. It's not about guilt. It's not about blaming people. Well, you are supporting this system if you go ahead with everything. If you do test or whatever you do, you are supporting the system. That's true in itself, but it's about being honest with yourself. I think this transition that we are in is about being honest where we stand. That's where we can learn from that and see that as a moment of growth if we dare to look at it. I do get reaction as well. People are really try to explain, well, I'm in this situation and it's horrible, so I had no other choice. And I fully understand that. But if you say that you had no other choice, you are making yourself a victim. You are not taking accountability. You're not like, I could have made another choice, because ultimately you always have a choice. It's just not going to be easy. It can get very uncomfortable, but you do have a choice. We need to step away from this victimhood. We need to step away from this role of victim. I have a process in that as well. It is not easy. Taking fully responsibility for everything I do, but it's necessary if we want to step into our authority, if we want to truly wake up. This is a spiritual awakening. That's what this is. This is about realizing our value, understanding what we can do with our energy, and consciously starting to manifest things. And we can do that if there are parts of us that we give away. And if you say, well, I've had all these awful things, and I understand, I read reaction, I understand that the situation is horrible, but you always have a choice. And that can be very tough to understand, and it's fine if you make another choice, but understand that you've made a choice. No matter how horrible it is, the situation is, you are making a choice. Just take responsibility for that. That's really what this is about. You can grow further if you still give away your power, if you still think, well, that happened to me, or I had no other choice because I was forced by. No one is forcing you. You are letting this happen. And I have to say, especially in the Netherlands, there is no mandate, so to speak. So someone, your job, your employer cannot force you to do anything. You just have to step up for yourself and stand tall. There are countries around the world where things are a lot tougher, and still people refuse to comply in that situation. So see it in a bigger picture. This is really a war. This is a spiritual war. This is about understanding where you are. Like I said before, this is not a blame game or making someone feel guilty or judging people. This is just understanding the patterns. Just understand what you're doing and be honest what you're doing. If things don't line up with how you were feeling about things, if you let someone else make the choice for you and you are willingly go with that, you let yourself be manipulated, that is what's happening. Just take responsibility for that. That is part of taking back your energy. Because if you understand that it's really your choice to begin with, you're the one going along with everything, you're the one let other people's or the situation force you into something, then you can take other steps or other choices if you want to. If you don't, that's okay. It's about being clear. It's about being honest and understanding, this is my choice. Doesn't matter, how do you say this, that you always may make for other people the right choices. It's that you make the right choice for yourself. Or accept that if you do make a choice that goes against what you're really feeling, then you will face the consequences. Because we're all facing consequences of our choices, whether we believe that it is our choice or not. And we have to understand that. I do believe that's the 4D. And I'm just going to see what the cards will have to say about that. I found that very interesting. This is the process we are in right now. The 2 of Swords, that's the card above. We've got the King of Swords. That is the central card. We have the Page of Pentacles in the past. We have the 10 of Swords underneath the King of Swords. And in the future we have the Ace of Swords. And this is interesting. We have so many sword cards. This is, in a way, also a mental process. This is about making a choice and standing with that choice. And of course, later on, if you do get another information or you feel inside yourself, oh, this doesn't resonate with me anymore, you can make another choice. But it is taking accountability of those choices. Also looking objectively at what you are doing, especially in certain patterns, certain toxic patterns. Why am I still in this situation? What is going on? How do I really feel? This is about connecting with your intuition, with your connection with God. Then you will feel this resonates with me or not. But a lot of people, and me included for a very long time, we really never learned how to handle our emotions, how to handle our feelings. I actually started analyzing everything. So I do understand a lot of patterns. That doesn't mean that it's fixed. Because with those patterns, there's a lot of feelings and emotions and pain along with it. And somehow, if I just speak from personal experience, for a long time, I just tried not to feel those uncomfortable feelings. I didn't want to really take a look at that. So I kind of just put myself above that. I remained in my head and tried to analyze everything like that's making everything better. Like, oh, if I understand what's going on, then apparently it's fixed. It's not, because you still have to feel things. You have to really experience all those anger, fear, pain, sadness. We really have to experience that as well, to let go of it, to transform it. Otherwise, we still carry it along. So we have to make a decision now. We are in this process now of healing, of really looking honestly at ourselves. So objectively looking at ourselves. That's what this process is we're in now. And we have to make decisions. Where do we really stand for? Where does it get uncomfortable for me, and will I budge then? Or will I stand tall and face those uncomfortable feelings, emotions, or situations, or with other people? That I have to stand up for myself. I have to speak up against my employer. People I work for, colleagues that do not see the things the way I see it. Do I just budge? Do I break? Or do I stand tall? This is really, and even if you do things that you really didn't want to do, look at that. Why? What happened there? So you can learn from that. This is really about honesty. Looking honestly at yourself. This is beautiful, because that's what's going to happen if people start looking honestly at themselves, really self-reflect. Why do I do certain things? What's going on in a certain relationship with family or friends or a loved one? What's going on here? This doesn't feel right, or something is not right. What's going on? What is my share in this? What am I doing? How can I change that? This is about a new beginning with communications, inspiration, new ideas, looking at things differently. But this is a beautiful energy. So I do think this is the process we're in. And some people will have very tough decisions to make. They are in very tough situations. But do look at what's going on. How did I get into this situation to begin with? This isn't about blame. This isn't about, oh, I must have done awful things. You don't know, why someone is in a certain situation. You do have soul contracts. But if you are in a situation and it's really like, oh, you have to go against what feels right to you, you do have a choice, and just look at the situation from a distance. What's going on here? What happened here? How did I get there? And make a decision. And whatever decision you make, there's not really essentially right or wrong, but whatever you make, accept the consequences of that decision and understand that is a choice that you've made. If you choose to go against your feelings, that will of course have consequences. If you choose to honor your own feelings, which I think is the best option above all, honor your feelings, really connect with yourself and honor that, because can get very tough. Sometimes it can cause more problems at that moment. Uncomfortable situation can rise, and you can really be confronted with all kinds of things going on. But if you truly feel this is right for you and you stand for that, things will get easier along the way. It will, because that's why we're here for. We are not here to suffer. We are not here to experience all this survival mode most of us are in. It's about going through that. But we will have to face uncomfortable situations. We will have to make a decision where we stand in this process. So I'd like to leave it at this, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.